Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. For those who know me, it's good to see you again, and for those who don't know me, it's nice to meet you. Today is my 40th birthday party. It's not a party, it's my 40th birthday. But it does feel that way, even though there's no big party. I don't usually like to have parties. I just like to spend time with select people that are really important to me and then touch base with everyone else. But it feels like a bit of a celebration today. I've always dreaded my birthdays. Weird type of way. There's always been a bit of a fear behind it. Actually don't like to be on my phone, don't like to be seeing the messages, find it a bit difficult for people to receive the gifts that people buy me sometimes. And that's been a pattern for a long time, but through life and experiences, the big 4-0 has brought in a new way of approaching it with a lot of help from my loved ones and friends, and I'm feeling love and feeling loved in a completely different and new way, a way that I thought was not for me. I didn't think I would ever get there, but it took a lot of being vulnerable and a lot of facing up to the fear that is there of having other people celebrate me, having other people say the value that they see in their lives from me.
You are one of the kindest, one of the most grounded, one of the most caring, one of the most loving and lovable people I've ever known.
But today, to be able to see the messages and to have the phone calls and to really feel the love has been a completely different experience. And it's been really, really awesome. And so, this is my YouTube channel. I have been dreaming about this for a very long time. And always wondered, I wonder when the time is going to be right for this to happen. And I've been having a million ideas, and just the starting point has always been a little bit tough for me. And so I'm doing it. Here I am, I'm doing it. I am doing something that's a little bit counterintuitive and a little bit scary. I like to help other people. I like to be of service to other people, and sharing about myself feels a little bit counterintuitive, but I think those are just a few barriers that I'm needing to work through that have been there for quite some time. And so I'm looking forward to sharing the experiences and sharing my ideas and sharing my creativity and my thoughts with all of you guys out there, and hopefully it will be of some sort of benefit, perhaps even entertainment, who knows. But I don't want it to be very edited and very polished. I want it to be very much an inside look at what's going on. And so 40 is a big number. And I saw this quote the other day by Carl Rogers, who said, "Life begins at 40. Anything before that is just research." And I really like that. I resonated with that. And I think to not get caught up in the the numbers as per se is that it really resonated because I'm turning 40 this year, and Carl Rogers' quote was about being 40, but I think it can be relevant to anyone at any age. Just knowing that there are seasons of life, there are periods of life that are dedicated to research, finding out things, finding out who you are, and most importantly, who you're not, in order to find out who you are. And 40 years has given me a lot of experiences and a lot of dots for me to be able to connect and to see where they take me, and this being one of them. And the fact that it's happening on my 40th birthday feels very synchronistic for me. It feels very there's something special about it for me. I have had this feeling that the ages 40 to 60 for me are going to be my golden years. That is what I felt genuinely. And so for there just to be time on my birthday to be able to even just do this feels really cool. Usually, and if you know me and if you're in my circle, you always just see me dashing around from job to job, always busy, always got something on the go. Time has opened up. It feels like something is assisting me and being here at this table and sharing this message. So with that being said about Carl Rogers and the 40 years of research, there's something that I am embarking on. It's a journey that I'd like to go on, and I'd like to bring everyone along on the journey with me. The best way to explain it is I'll be creating a personal brand. Now, I don't like the word brand per se because it feels very business-like, but the concept of it is to create and get clear about certain themes about what I am really about. And I've wrestled with this question for a long time, and I've wrestled with which themes are really me and what themes are really important to me at this time. And I've been able to grab them in this early part of 2024. It's felt very confusing up till then. I've had all these ideas just floating around, but I haven't really been able to put them in a basket and just be able to look at all these individual things in different baskets. And so I was able to come up with 3 baskets that I feel really good about, even over some time of conceptualizing it and coming to the point of saying, hey, maybe these are my 3 baskets. Then even having weeks and months of space from it, looking back at the baskets and going, yes, everything still fits into those baskets, and those 3 baskets are me. The first basket being content. The second basket being connection. And the third basket being creativity. Now, I just want to put up a mattress against my wall because there's another meeting going on next door, so I'll be back in a second. Cool, so I was telling you about the personal brand, the 3 things on it. Content, connection, creativity. And I'd like to break those down. Content. I've been making content for my friends, for clients, for the last 15 years with my cameras and my microphones and my editing suites. And I just want to share a story about how I got into creating content and how that really started for me. And it takes me back to when I'm 13 years old and my brother is 6 years older than me. Now, in our family, at our birthdays, funny enough, we would get one really nice present each. And my brother, being an incredible musician, he wanted to get an electric guitar for his birthday. And so when his birthday came around, he got this beautiful electric guitar. And he can really play. But he wanted to expand his musical experience, so he's like, but I really want to be able to play the drums as well. But his birthday had passed, and my birthday was coming up. And so he convinced me, a 13-year-old, his younger brother, that I wanted drums for my birthday, basically so that he could play them. And that's exactly what happened. I got drums for my birthday, and we both jammed them in the garage. But because they were my drums, my parents sent me for lessons. And in the process of going for lessons and learning about this instrument, I really fell in love with it. There was something about being alone in a room with an instrument for hours that I really couldn't get enough of. There were days that I would be practicing 6-7 hours a day and building up my skills and just loving every second of going through that process though. And so that is how I fell in love with the drums, and I sort of practiced from when I was 13 until I was 18, and I really gave it all that I got. And that led me into having many musical experiences in my life that I'd like to dive into one by one moving forward. But I'm going to fast forward to 2010, where I happened to find myself in the same room as Graham Watkins, Reino Zili, Rudo Petersa, and myself at Reino's home studio called Figure of Eight Productions. And we were rehearsing for a corporate gig. So we were making music, popular music, for a show, because Graham had just come out of Idols. The rehearsal went really well. We took a break after that and came back into the room and said, why don't we just try something of our own, make a new song, catch it out of the sky. And it was an incredible experience being in that room with those 4 boys, all throwing our energy out and our creativity and our ideas. And on the first little session, we wrote a song called Real World. And that was when the Graham Watkins project was born, on that day. And it was a wave that we rode, an incredible wave in the South African music industry. A real rock star lifestyle, sharing our music in a rock and roll band across the country, meeting cool people, sharing a good vibe. And this wave took us all the way up to a point where we had this opportunity of going overseas to play at this prestigious expo called Muse Expo in LA, where there's many opportunities for bands and artists. It's where Katy Perry started. She did one of her very first gigs at this place and made connections and went on to being Katy Perry. And so we were on our way to America to go play in LA and New York and to roll the dice, see what's happening. When you're a muso flying over there, you just don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's happening on the other side. Whether what we've made has got something that someone else thinks they can do something with. It's the unknown. And so I was like, I can't go overseas without documenting this process, because this is a really big moment for us. So I got myself a Canon 550D, second-hand one, and with an 18 to 55 millimeter lens, kit lens on it. And I started just getting to grips with it and took this camera on tour with us, and I documented the entire process. And I started to see life through a lens, and I started to see the benefit of capturing something on a video, and how the memories were going to be stored and restored in a way, and I would be able to show someone 20-30 years from now of what actually happened on this trip into the unknown. And so I had a great time documenting the band, and you'll be able to see that EPK below. I'll put it in the description so you can go and check it out, of our trip overseas. But there was something else that really played into this, is that when we went to New York for our second gig, I have a friend over here called Dale in South Africa who asked me, he said, dude, you're in New York City, would you be able to go pick up some gear at B&H Photo? Because you can get it at a really discounted rate. So I said, yeah, of course, 100%. I got a day off in New York. Let's go do that. That'd be awesome. So I got the list, and I had some spare space in my snare drum. You know, if I undo all the lugs on the snare drum, I took it apart, then I had enough room to fit a whole bunch of stuff. And it was a big, deep monster snare drum. So I could definitely do this. And so I bought all this camera stuff, put it into my snare drum. The snare drum, if you try to pick it up and put it in the overhead compartment, you almost put your lower back out. It was so heavy, but it was loaded with all this camera equipment. And when I got back, the next day I went to go see Dale and give him all his stuff from America. And he said to me, thanks so much for doing this. And as a gift to you, I bought you this 50mm lens. I had bought it in B&H Photo in New York and carried with me all the way back to South Africa, and then he gave it to me as a gift. And he said, you've got to check this out. He took my 550D, he put the 50mm lens on it. And now for all the photographers and videographers out there, you know that the aperture can go down to like 1.8, which is insane. And he said, hold your hand out. Hold your hand out like this. So I hold my hand out, and there was a wall about 5 meters behind. And he said, check this out. And he pulled the focus from the wall to my hand. And I freaked out, because I understood the power of what these lenses and what these cameras could do in that moment. It felt like I had a piece of TV equipment in my hands, you know. I had been shooting with the 19 to 55 on my Canon, but it only had that, like, a slight feeling of that cinematic feel. But with this 50mm lens on, it just blew my mind. And that moment is with me forever, because I just wanted more, and I just wanted to make things that looked cinematic, because I had it in my hand, just here, you know. It didn't have to be $1 million camera or anything like that. I had it in my hand. And I went home that night, and with just so much excitement that I started to edit this EPK for the band. And during that time on Mnet, they used to accept things called fillers, where you could send in your behind the scenes of a show, or the behind the scenes of a gig or a movie, and they would play it in between the biggest blockbusters while everybody's watching. And so I compiled this EPK, and on the odd chance I sent it off to Mnet, and I said, would you guys be willing to play this documentary of our band going overseas? And to my surprise, they said they would do it. And they started spinning this thing basically on high rotation. And I used to sit in my lounge watching Mnet, watching my band's EPK, and it was just the most fantastic experience. And that set off my passion and my journey of making content. And it led me from asking all my musician friends, hey, do you need a video? Do you need an EPK? Do you need a music video? What can we do? Let's make something for you. That became my free time. And I made things for people that I just, some of my greatest friends today. This led me onto being approached to do little corporate videos, small businesses, and it's grown into what it is today, working with some of the heaviest hitters in the TV world and making TV commercials and documentaries and TV shows for CakeNet, and really wonderful stuff. And I've been struggling with posting a video like this because although I know I have the ability to make a really nice, slick production about things, there's something that I want to do that is a little bit more raw and a little bit more authentic. So hopefully my content creation skills are not judged by what I'm putting out on this channel, but by rather the things that you can see that I've done professionally. Still hire me. Okay, cool. So that's my story about content. And now I've got 2 stories about connection and how they're important to me. When I was about 17 years old, we were hanging out with a group of friends from high school in the Hyde Park area. We went to go watch a movie, grab something to eat, one of those kind of evenings. And the end of the night, it was me and this other guy from the group who was sort of new to the group. He was a boyfriend of one of the girls that were in our group. And we found ourselves at the McDonald's on Jan Smuts here in Craig Hall. Just the 2 of us, just sort of ending up the night. Everyone else had gone home. And we ordered our food and we sat down, and I just asked him, I said, hey man, how you doing? How are things going? What's up? And he was just open enough to be able to tell me that he was going through this very difficult time where he couldn't make a decision of what to do next. There were so many different confusing things that he was faced with. And I was just really interested in understanding the situation that he was going through. And so I was just posing some extra questions about this. Can you tell me a little bit about that, or a little bit more clarity about this? And what about this? Okay, cool. So we are now just exploring this problem, this feeling that he is going through. And we are sort of just getting clarity on each little confusion. And it was about an hour conversation of us just diving in and really being in his world for a moment, of understanding what he is experiencing, what he's going through. And at the end of the conversation, it was almost like he got struck by a bolt of lightning. It was that quick when he looked at me and he went, Matt, I've got it. I know what I need to do next. And he went on to explain what he needed to do. He had discovered what he needed to do through this conversation. And he gave me a hug and he said, dude, thank you. This was amazing. I was lost. I didn't understand what I needed to do next. And through this interaction, this conversation, I've got it, you know. And I drove home that night so happy. Like I'd basically scored a goal and I was celebrating, you know. I had my windows down, I had the music up, and I was screaming, woo! Just out of excitement of what I had experienced that night. It was very exciting for me. It was like the first glimpse of something I couldn't explain. I wanted more of it, but I couldn't explain it. And so there was a connection with the other person. There was a deep connection that I had with the other person, and there was, and in a way, he was able to see himself. He could just see himself, and I loved that. So there's a story of connection with another. Just checking if this is still on. Sweet. I don't know if I've been out of focus. I can't really see, but hopefully not. Maybe I have. Oh dear. It's happening though. It's happening. Then another story about connection, and this time is a story of connection with myself, is that in lockdown in 2020, I was going through some very difficult emotions, very difficult feelings. Completely didn't understand them. And I saw a YouTube video by a guy named Aaron Doughty. And he was explaining the meaning of being an empath.
If you are an empath or a people pleaser, then I believe this video may be one of the most powerful videos you've ever seen that helps you to understand the cure
and the gifts that come with it, and the hard things that you have to deal with if you are an empath. And he was just mapping this out. Now, this is the first time that I had ever heard of that word empath. I had known the word empathy. Someone can be empathic to somebody else, and someone can have sympathy, you know, and them being sort of in a similar boat there. I knew that was something that someone could have to someone, but I hadn't heard of someone being called an empath, and there was some sort of way of being that was unique and different. And this opened my eyes, because going back to my first story, I'm very comfortable listening to other people, very comfortable empathizing with others. And it became a habit with me of living in other people's worlds, because it was something that I enjoyed doing and I was quite good at it. And there was something about it protected me, or it kept me from going inside myself and being in tune with who I really am. So I started living in other people's worlds. All the people around me, I merge myself with them, being an empath, understand where they're coming from, and usually forget parts of myself in order to be with them in their world. And so this opened up a whole series of questions and doubts, and people call it on the internet the dark night of the soul. And it's I resonate with that description, because once I had the realization that there was a disconnection of my inner voice, of what was going on inside of me, because I had been living in other people's worlds for so long. And it was a very, very difficult time. It got to some hairy moments, if you know what I mean, of being very confused, feeling very lost, feeling very alone in what was happening. I was able to catch myself just before that started to spin out of control. And I got in contact with a psychologist And I started to go see the psychologist. And that was the beginning of me starting, first of all, having a safe place enough to go look for my own feelings, and then to listen to my own feelings, and then to have the opportunity to talk about my own feelings. And then I had an objectivity of seeing my own feelings. And then slowly but surely starting to communicate my feelings. And this whole process has kicked off a journey of connection with myself. The word for me that resonates is my soul. I have seeing an old friend for the first time, my soul, and sparking up that relationship and seeing where that goes. And that's part of this whole experiment too. And so those are my two stories on connection, and two things that I love, that I want to dedicate myself to, is a connection with myself and a connection with others. Not one or the other, but both. That's how I would wrap up my theme of connection. Now, the last basket is creativity. And I've got a project in mind that will kind of just get me started in this direction. Welcome to my first creative project. I am here at Stageworks, my wife's performing arts school, and it's the dopest place to live out your craziest creative ideas. And so this is the space for the first one. And let me take you through the first project that I had in mind. Okay, it's a musical endeavor. I'm gonna put this down. And I started off by playing around in Logic one night, just having a little bit of fun. Listen, I wasn't actually playing any musical instruments. I wasn't playing a guitar or piano. I was just actually messing around with the pre-loaded loops that comes with Logic. Same like basically on GarageBand. When you download GarageBand, you're able to download extra packs. Same things with Logic, and then you can just go through, see what like tickles your fancy, bring it into the folder, bring it into the timeline, and start building some stuff. So I created this track, and it just like felt so good beginning to end, and it had this little journey, and there was some BVs in there that I just took in. There was some piano, there was some guitars, and right at the end I asked my good friend Calden to come in and play some synthesizer, and he did just such a fantastic job. So I was listening to the song for a couple days, and then as I was driving I was listening to it, and I was like really resonating with it, and I was like, this is really my song. And then I was like starting to see a couple ideas, a couple things when I was driving, listening to it. And I started to see some crazy stuff. And so this is where I'm going to play out all this crazy stuff. The first thing I saw was me in a box, flying through space. And as I'm flying through space, I am seeing all the things from my childhood, all the things from when I'm an adult, teenager, all the things that I really like, the things that have really had an influence on me in my life. And they were flying past me in space. And I thought this to be the perfect one to start it off, because you will be able to see all the important things and all the shallow and deep things in my life that's made me who I am. So it's to communicate who I am to you guys out there, and it's for me to go through the process of actually like journaling and it feels like workshopping these ideas and getting them together. But I've only got tonight to get this done, because life is crazy at the moment. I've got tonight. It is exactly 10 to 7, so I'm going to kick this off at 7 o'clock, and I'm going to give myself 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to give myself until midnight, 5 hours to get this whole project done. Whatever happens, I am going to push export at midnight, and it's going to be what it is, okay? And so I'm going to take you along on the journey of creating this piece, and I hope you really enjoy it as much as I do. I'm a little bit nervous, but and also because of the time, it might be a little bit cack, but I'm here for it. Let's go. Back in the saddle. Right, so this is the box that I'm using. If you know my story, I've moved 7 times in the last 10 years. So got a couple boxes lying around. Rent a store, my best friend. Okay, cool. So this is the box I'm going to use to fly through space. But there's just one thing that I need to go do before the box is complete. Right, I'm back. I've done what I needed to do because my box is not complete without this. And for those that know. Oh, it's got to be at a slight angle. I'm ready. Feeling good. So this is a performing arts school, and what's a performing arts school without a costume cupboard? And so I find myself feeling intrigued. Let's go. Okay, so lots and lots of stuff to check out here. I'm gonna have a little browse through here, pick up a number or two. I've decided to go with a fancy hat. You know what? I think this might belong to a good friend of mine. All right, test. It feels good inside. I forgot something. I totally forgot something. Let's get the fan. Like, there's a real question out there. Like, if I'm going fast enough in space, like outside, will my hair like move? I think it will, but maybe we should ask Neil deGrasse or Elon. Take 2. In 3, 2, 1. The first section is hopefully done. 2 takes, and we've got it in the bag. I didn't really plan what I'm going to be flying through just yet, so that's the next quest. So I've been just like pretending I'm looking up at stuff, so hopefully it all works out. Guys, what time is it? It's Mokoloko time. Alright, sweet, the filming is done, and now on to post-production on this bad boy over here. So yeah, gonna load up all the footage and then go deep dive into all the things that have inspired me over the years. Let's go.
Every day I'm mentoring, every day I'm mentoring, every day I'm mentoring.
So as you can see, 23:44, and it's been a mad dash to the end. It was quite difficult in the beginning to like jog my memory and get into the things. I had a couple things in mind, but then there was like a tough period, and then it was like dry, and then one thing came, and then it was like opening up the floodgates. And now it's like I thought I was going to have like too little, but now I've actually got too much. So I was like dashing, just trying to fit everything in. So it starts off really nice and slick, and then it gets just nuts at the end. I'm just trying to just chuck everything in, and you'll see the transitions are beautiful in the beginning, and at the end they pop up. But good vibes. So I think I am going to leave it there. Even though that I've got 15 minutes more to go, I am ready to just go for it, man. I'm feeling good about it. Yeah, I know I could do more, but it's giving me the good vibes. Export.
But in that moment of what the hell that I'm doing, I'm thinking like, yeah.
There it is, baby. The first YouTube video in the bag. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. If you've made it this far, I consider you a friend. I want to let you know that I've got some awesome ideas lined up for the rest of my other content, so stay tuned, share it with people that you think might like this. I'm going to be taking all the songs in this episode and uploading it to Spotify. I'll let you know when that drops. I'm super excited about that. And if you have a story or a message that you'd like to share on my channel with this community, please drop me a message. Until next time, as my good friend Graham Watkins always says, it's a business doing pleasure with you.